In a few days, Elon Musk is going to pull off the biggest stock market debut in history. SpaceX is going public on the 12th of June, valued at around $1.77 trillion. That's bigger than Tesla, bigger than any company that has ever floated anywhere. And here's the part that should make you sit up. Even if you think Elon's a genius, even if you think he's a clown, even if you've never bought a single share in your life and never plan to, this thing might be about to land in your pension, whether you chose it or not. Just a quick reminder, nothing in this video is financial advice. It's purely for educational purposes, and you should always do your own research before making any financial decisions. So, how does a company you never picked end up in your money? Is that actually a problem? And what, if anything, should you do about it? Stick with me, because the panic going round online right now is about half right and half nonsense, and by the end, you'll know exactly which half. Here's something that took me way too long to understand. When you buy an index fund, a tracker, the thing everyone sensibly tells you to buy, you think you're buying the market. Like the market is some fixed, natural law of the universe. It isn't. The market is a list, and that list is chosen by a company. Firms like S&P, FTSE Russell, MSCI, and Nasdaq decide which companies count and which don't. So the S&P 500 isn't the 500 best businesses in America handed down on stone tablets. It's 500 names a company picked and packaged into a product. And here's the bit that matters. Those firms aren't charities. Every time you buy a fund that tracks their list, a tiny sliver of your fee flows back to them. So they've got skin in the game. They want their lists to look exciting and relevant, because exciting and relevant is what keeps the money pouring in. Hold that thought. With the biggest IPO in history rolling into town, the people who build these indexes quietly changed their own rules. Take Nasdaq. Their famous Nasdaq 100 index used to make a new company wait anywhere from 3 months to a full year before it could join. As of the 1st of May this year, that's gone. There's now a fast entry rule. If a newly listed company is big enough to rank in the top 40 by size, it can slot into the index after just 15 trading days. They also scrapped the old rule that said a company needed at least 10% of its shares actually available to buy. And SpaceX? It might float as little as 3 to 5% of itself. So here's the chain. SpaceX lists. It's instantly one of the biggest companies on the exchange. The new rules wave it straight in. And every fund tracking that index, including ones sat inside UK pensions, has to go and buy it. Not because a clever manager studied the numbers and said yes, because the rules now say they must. That, right there, is what people mean by forced buying. So why would a serious financial institution rewrite its own rulebook for one company? Follow the money. This is the part that clicked for me. Nasdaq isn't just an index provider. It's also a stock exchange, the actual venue where companies choose to list. And SpaceX chose Nasdaq. So one company both runs the marketplace and writes the rules for the most watched list in that marketplace. If you want to win a giant, headline-grabbing listing for your exchange, rolling out the red carpet into your index is a tempting little sweetener. There's something like $527 billion tracking the Nasdaq 100 alone. As for the other providers, the worry is simpler. If your fund doesn't hold the exciting new names, investors might wander off to a fund that does. It all comes back to competition and staying relevant. None of this is necessarily a scandal, but it's worth saying out loud. When the rules change, they are not changing for your benefit. They're changing for theirs. Right, before anyone panic sells their index fund, take a breath, because the scary version of this story is missing two massive details. First, the biggest index in the world just said no. On the 5th of June, S&P Global confirmed it is not changing its rules for SpaceX. So the company everyone's terrified of being force-fed into the famous S&P 500 has been turned away at the door, at least for now. The most important list of the lot held the line. Second, even where SpaceX does get in, it'll be tiny. Remember, it's only floating a few % of itself. The indexes that do let it in weight it by how much is actually tradable, not its full headline value. So instead of a $1.77 trillion monster, it gets treated more like a few $100 billion one. In plain English, for every pound you've got in one of those funds, a fraction of a single penny would touch SpaceX. Apple might be 7 pence in that same pound. So this is not SpaceX quietly eating your portfolio. It's a sliver. The headlines screaming, "This'll sink your pension," are honestly overcooked. And if this all feels brand new and outrageous, it really isn't. This is a rerun. Back in 2011, the mining giant Glencore got fast-tracked into the FTSE 100 almost the moment it listed. Saudi Aramco got similar special treatment around its float. And here's the one that'll make you smile and wince at the same time. In 1999, right before the dot-com bubble burst, the people running the Dow Jones swapped out boring old economy names for the hot tech darlings of the day. Sometimes that timing looks like genius. Sometimes it looks horrible. The point is, big index shake-ups around big companies are a recurring feature of investing, not some one-off heist invented for Elon. Now let's talk about that price tag, because this is where it gets genuinely wild. SpaceX is coming to market at around $1.77 trillion. So what do you actually get for that? In 2025, the company brought in about $18.7 billion of revenue and lost nearly $5 billion. It lost another $4 billion in just the first 3 months of this year. Right now, only the Starlink satellite business actually makes money. Put that price against those sales, and by some estimates, you're paying over 90 times revenue. For a yardstick, the average big American company trades around 3 to 4 times. There's even a claim in the official filing that the total market SpaceX could one day chase is worth $28.5 trillion. That's about 3 times the size of the entire global food industry. Everything the planet eats. Look, Elon has a real habit of making mad-sounding bets pay off, and betting against him has burned a lot of clever people. But make no mistake, this is priced as if that enormous future has already arrived. You're not buying what SpaceX is today, you're buying what it might become, at full price, up front. And that brings us to the test most people are about to fail. A trillion-pound rocket company, Elon Musk, the biggest IPO in history, headlines absolutely everywhere. You might be tempted to react. This is exactly where the athlete mindset earns its keep. A serious athlete doesn't tear up their training plan because a flashy new gadget drops the week before a race. They trust the boring system that's been quietly working the whole time. Investing is the same game. When the hype is loudest, the most disciplined move is usually the most boring one. Keep buying your low-cost global tracker every month like nothing happened. Warren Buffett's got a line for this. He jokes that IPO really stands for "It's probably overpriced." And he's only half joking. New listings exist more than anything to cash out the people who got in early. That doesn't make them a guaranteed loser, but it tells you who the game is built for. And it isn't the person buying in the excitement of launch day. But say you really want a piece. You believe in the mission. You want to own a bit of the future. Fine, that's allowed. Just go in with your eyes open. And whatever you decide, treat it as play money, not your foundation. A small slice you could afford to lose, sat on top of a solid core. So if your tracker quietly buys a little piece of SpaceX next month, now you know exactly why. And exactly why you don't need to lose a wink of sleep over it. And if you want to keep making the calm, disciplined moves that quietly build wealth while everyone else chases the hype, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.